welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Glad you're able to join us and come back in the fold as we are heading into another beautiful, beautiful day. For those of you new to the channel, do me a favor, click that subscribe button down below so you get the updates and the alerts as they happen. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So taking a look at the S&P. Now the ES was... On Friday, we had a really strong sell-off, primarily led by tech, and that sell-off is continuing to be led by tech. And I had a potential breakout short below this area here, and we did get that little breakout short. But I will tell you, I also had a long right here. So that one did not work out, and that got stopped out. So remember that on these triangle patterns, you can break out one way or the other, and that's one of the things that we talked about. We said, you know, there's a breakout above here, but if you wanted to go short, this is the where it was. This was your better opportunity. And I said I'm more comfortable shorting the S&P than I am shorting the Nasdaq, and the reason for that is because the Nasdaq was coming off an all-time high. So S&P, a little bit of a breakdown below here, got down to this region and blew through the level. But remember, this is the daily market commentary. We leave the levels on the charts. It helps to hold us all accountable. And so this one should have been a fairly small stop out for you, but oftentimes old resistance, will still be there. And so this could be a reversal point for today. I think that there's a good chance that we could reverse today out of what we've seen. So, we've kind of rallied up since the European Open, but we've come back into this region here. If you went candle to candle style of trading from this point forward on the S&P and took a short kind of right now, it'd be below 28.13. I wouldn't be upset with that. I think that seems to make sense. That's pretty good logic and not a bad way to go. Now, where's our next level of support come in? Well, our next level of support in the S&P comes in a bit lower. We've got a little bit of an area here where we're bouncing off of at the moment, but our next good support, I guess I'm going to go out to the 4-hour chart. We've got one down here at 2778. This area here may hold, this 2800 area may hold. But this one's a slightly better level down in here. All in all, this is not, we had a sell-off on Friday. It's certainly not the end of the world, but it definitely breaks the upward trend with a lower swing low as well as a lower swing high. So let's look at the Nasdaq. So in the Nasdaq, we broke down significantly harder, obviously. Now this one, we came to a confirmation style entry, and you should not have gotten your order filled. Now, why was this a confirmation entry? Well, because the first time we touched this level, this entry worked out great. And then the second time we turned it into a confirmation, and you should never have gotten filled on the position. That being said, the Nasdaq has already given us that candle-to-candle short entry style where we've already begun the reversal. We've got one candle that's already lower than the previous candle's low, and so your stop would be just above here, and you would continue to move your stop down on each candle as we get lower highs on each one of these candles. Now, looking at the potential stopping point on the Nasdaq, we don't have really anything until way down here on the 15-minute chart. There's this area right here that could still hold. But for now, I'd be more apt to take the short than I would to take the long. I think this would be, a good time for the Nasdaq to take a bit of a rest. Next, we have crude oil. So crude oil is still between our range. So nothing really to add in crude other than we're still in the range. We're between that high and that low. And then in gold, we are still in this little piece of an area here. This popped up above it, but not enough for an entry. It didn't even get a full tick above. And so this just barely popped up above, not enough for a full entry, unless you've got it, on the line itself, if that is a level that fits your parameters. I still think it's okay to take another long up above here if it pops up there again. All right. Looking next at bonds. So in the bond arena, we have this short below this area here. Let's see if we pop below there today. We almost got there in the overnight hours. We were unable to do so. And that gives us a little bit of a rundown into this region here. Still have a reversal trade up here if we, for some reason, would happen to pop up in those bonds. In the Aussie, we had a sell-off of this area here last week, and that sell-off has still kind of basically continued, but other than that, not a whole lot of things to add to the Aussie. In the Euro, we've got this long upper wick here, and this long upper wick is really kind of scary, because what happens is that long upper wick means it wipes out this area here where we had this drop, this basing, and then this popped up to this area here, which comes down. So this long upper wick makes me nervous about pretty much this whole area, because this long upper wick means that we retested into here and then we wiped out the orders that were here. So I think there's probably still going to be some psychological reversal at this 1175 area. I think that that's still just whole round number. Anytime you end in a 5, it's something more important. But I don't like it enough for me to be willing to put my money on the line, is what I'm saying there. The Canadian dollar, we had our breakout above this area here in the Canadian. I'm going to remove this line for now. This was last week's Canadian dollar breakout. Right now, I don't have anything to add, but I can see something coming down the pike and in the horizon. In the meantime, I am going to put this little level right here, because I think that could be a good reversal pattern going forward. Now, British pound, Japanese yen, nat gas, and copper. So in our Japanese yen, we still have our level here. It's not yet been tested. We're just chopping around sideways. Same thing in the pound. So you'll notice most of our currencies have kind of a sideways chop pattern over the last couple of days, which means I'm not going to force it, right? Don't force the shot. I will say in copper that we broke out above our blue line. Price rallied to our short entry. Our short entry, we came back down, hit our blue line, and now our short's working again. As now, basically, if you think about it, this put in a head and shoulders style pattern, right? And so if you are short, now you're riding it to the downside. You just kind of added to your prior position, because this is what I said. If you missed it getting short here, you had another chance to get short on the breakdown below this area, and now we're starting to move nicely from that trade. So those of you that trade copper, it is moving your particular style. So today, just, a little bit of a pullback in the Nasdaq is not going to be a bad thing. If I look at this on a daily chart, we had a pretty nice little run up. This is just a little bit of so far, this is just a little bit of a pullback. Not a whole lot to concern ourselves with. And if we were to draw our trend line here, kind of connect this, I'm cutting off one of the wicks down here, but ultimately, it's not a bad thing when we get a little bit of a pullback on these daily upward trends, right? I mean, this looking at the bigger picture, looking at the daily or even the weekly chart, it's not a bad pullback. I will say that the high upper wick is a little bit concerning, especially on a weekly time period. But a bit of a pullback into here, give it a little rest before rallying higher. Certainly not a bad thing. So just keep that in mind from a bigger picture perspective, that there's no reason to change your plan on the bigger picture perspective and the bigger picture time frame. So with that being said, everybody, I hope you have an absolutely amazing trading day. If there's anything I can do for you, please feel free to reach out. Email address is chuck@iiefinancial.com. Until tomorrow, see y'all soon.